And today I'm going to be talking about how you can become grounded in your masculinity. All right. When I say grounded in your masculinity, essentially what I mean is you learn how to be a masculine man, which is a proactive, assertive, focused, you know, um, strong willed man, but how you can be that type of man consistently, right? So some men, sometimes they can be a little proactive, sometimes they could be a little assertive, but then if they're challenged or something happens in their life, some big adversity, they lose all that masculinity and they just start kind of reverting, kind of being passive, kind of making excuses, being reactive, right? We want to be the type of men that we maintain our masculinity. We stay assertive, we stay proactive, we stay disciplined, stay focused no matter what's going on externally, right? Whether a woman is shit testing us, whether life is shit testing us, no matter what, we maintain that masculinity, right? So where are you now? Do you feel emasculated as a man? Do you feel like you're not being masculine, maybe because you've been shamed for it? Maybe you at some point you were a lot more assertive, you're a lot more proactive, and when you were that way, you know things didn't go your way, or maybe you took action and you ran into rejection or failure or ridicule. Maybe you still voice your opinion more, be more creative, but you met some kind of trial or tribulation, some failure, people putting you down, whatever the case may be. And so you stop being that masculine man. You stop being so assertive. You stop being so outspoken, or just strong-willed, whatever the case may be. Right? You feel like you're not, you're not embracing your manhood, or embracing your ability to just go out and make shit happen the way that you should be, right? Do you feel like you don't know who you are? Do you feel kind of like clueless, unsure of who are you? What is your identity? Who are you in this world? What is your purpose? Like, what do you don't feel solid, right? You don't feel like you have a strong frame. You don't feel like very dominant, right? Because you're not sure about yourself. There's like some insecurities going on. You may feel like you're stuck in your head, unable to be grounded and present to the moment, right? Do you feel like you're always in your head? You're always thinking, analyzing, what should I be doing? What should I be saying? What is the right thing? Am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong? Just always thinking, not able to be present. And you find yourself being more reactive versus proactive, right? Like you're more at effect than at cause. And you believe you should be more at cause than at effect. Do you feel uncomfortable in your own body, right? Do you feel um like you're not good enough, right? Do you feel like um you're not worthy of certain things, maybe not worthy of beautiful women, or not worthy of the finer things in life? Do you feel unsure of yourself, right? And there's different levels to this, but we want to we want to increase this. We want to get it to a point where you feel very comfortable in your body, where you feel very relaxed and you're not overthinking and stuck in your head. Are you inhibited in your self-expression? Do you feel like your self-expression has been limited somehow, right? Whether you feel like what you say is not being taken seriously, and so you don't speak up as much, or maybe you don't like expressing yourself because then now you're accountable for certain things, and or there's certain pressure, right? And there's like this inhibition, whether it may have come from some traumatic experience in your past, or maybe the way you were raised, or maybe just you still not knowing what route you're supposed to go in life, and so it kind of prevents you from expressing yourself fully. Do you feel like a nice guy, people pleaser, right? Basically, because you don't know, or don't feel like you know exactly who you are, because you don't feel very grounded, because your frame isn't that strong, you feel like you need to be nice to people in order to get their validation, or their approval, or their respect, right? You feel like you need to please people because if you don't, you're just not going to get what you want, or you're not going to feel like you're part of whatever's going on, whether it's a social interaction or just some events, and you just want to maintain some kind of position, so you feel like you need to be nice to do that. All right, so that's where are you now. Let's look at where do you want to be. So you want to be confident and certain in who you are, right? You know who you are because you've spent time with yourself, and you've tapped into your potential. Like, you started to kind of block out, you know, other people's opinions and their views and all this stuff, and you really get to know yourself, and then learn how to express yourself in a certain way, and then you start building that confidence and that certainty in who you are. You want to be grounded in your masculinity. Like I said, being able to maintain a masculine character, right? Being proactive, being assertive, being dominant, being disciplined, focused, and being unshakable in that masculine expression, right? So no matter what's being thrown at you, a woman is challenging you, she's giving you a certain look, or she's saying certain things to you that is basically designed to throw you off. You maintain that groundedness, right? You maintain, this is who I am, this is my character, this is my frame, and I won't break. And not just with women, whether it's men, whether it's life throwing you challenges, adversity, you maintain that grounded masculinity. You want to be present in the moment instead of stuck in your head. Present to the moment basically means you can relax and enjoy the moments and be here right now, instead of thinking about what's happened in your past, right? Or trying to predict the future. You are here in the present moments, and you allow things to play out. You're not resisting anything, you're just accepting what's going on. You want to get the respect and admiration of both men and women, right? When you are grounded in your masculinity, another way to put this is when you have a strong character, a strong frame, and you're quite dominant. And when I say dominant, I don't mean like you go around like trying to force your will on people. What I mean is, when you show up with a certain character, and you're dominant in that character, right? You're dominant in that frame. Okay, you may, when you learn social calibration, you'll know there's certain times when you need to be more dominant than others, but there's a certain level of dominance that shows up because you are grounded in who you are. And that gets a lot of respect from both men and women. Men want to be around men who are grounded in their masculinity. I want to be around a man who's proactive, assertive, disciplined, focused, and won't break when some challenge shows up. And a woman definitely wants a man like that, right? Because a woman is represents feminine energy, which is chaotic, and a grounded masculine man brings order to that chaos. So in order to become a grounded masculine man, and I'm going to share with you my process. Essentially, what I did was I tapped into masculine archetypes, right? I feel as though we kind of, to some extent, have some kind of masculinity going on, right? There's this book called The King, Warrior, Magician, Lover. It talks about masculine archetypes, and talks about how we have some of these, we have these archetypes, and we lean, or we seem to be stronger in certain areas and weaker in other areas. And to become fully grounded and integrated as a man, we have to develop all these areas. Now, King, Warrior, Magician, Lover, I didn't read that book until, recently, like maybe a year ago or a few months ago or something like that. So, but I did tap into archetypes. And so I'm going to talk about the ones that I tapped into. And these are the archetypes that helped me become grounded in my masculinity. And hopefully you can relate these to yourself, or maybe see how you can leverage archetypes to become grounded in your masculinity. So the first one is the Joker. This is the first archetype that I tapped into. And the reason I tapped into the Joker was because I felt like I used to be a little too serious and too logical. That was my struggle. And I wanted to improve upon that. Meaning, I wanted to become more light, more humorous, more playful, because I saw when I was dealing with people that, you know, there was something like a little too rigid about my communication, a little too rigid about my behavior. And so it would kind of turn certain people off. And I saw it a lot with women. I saw that women didn't respond to me as well because I was a little too serious. And I saw that the guys who weren't so serious, they tend to do a lot better with women, right? So I was able to identify this, and I try to figure it out on my own, but it wasn't working. And somehow I had the idea to why just study someone who is the complete opposite of serious, right? Which is a Joker from the Batman movies. Okay. And I studied the Joker, and I kind of broke his character down, or his archetype down, to like a way of being, right? And I see the Joker, this first thing here is smiling and laughing at himself in the world, right? So one thing I observed about the Joker archetype is that the Joker, it can laugh at himself. Okay, so it's not just laughing at others and think everything is a joke. He thinks his own self is a joke. Like he doesn't take himself seriously, right? He takes himself in a very light way because he just sees life as a joke in general, and everything in life is a joke. And right, he takes it to the extreme. So this is where calibration comes in, and I had to learn the calibration because I would go out the way how I practice this archetype, by the way, because I started tapping into this archetype after I left high school. So what I did was I would go out and approach women, and I'd approach men too. I'd just go out and approach people, and I would tap into this archetype. So I'd go around visualizing that I'm the Joker, and I would be smiling. Like I would just be walking around smiling, like a big smile on my face. And I would be even laughing. Like sometimes if I see something and I find it funny, instead of me like holding back my laughter, like, oh, it'd be kind of weird to laugh right now, or whatever the case might be, I'd laugh. I'd be laughing. And sometimes maybe the laugh wouldn't be like so physical, it'd be like an inner laugh. Like sometimes I'd be laughing on the inside or whatever. But yeah, I just go around smiling and approaching people with that smile. And it forced me to be in a more playful, a more happy, a more childlike, a more humorous vibe. Because when you're smiling, like right now, when I smile when I'm talking, it forces me to feel more happier. It forces me to feel more light. It forces me to, and I noticed before this, always had a serious look on my face. I always had like a tough, like I'm trying to be this tough guy all the time. And I didn't even realize that it was putting people off, making people think that I must be like this tough, aggressive guy that wants to fight or something, which wasn't the case, right? I wanted to meet people. I wanted to socialize. I wanted to have fun. I wanted to be playful. But I didn't realize something as simple as smiling and laughing more would make a huge difference. So that was a big one. Just starting to smile more. I noticed girls would look at me more, right? Oh, this guy's smiling. He must be a happy guy. Life must be good. People want to be around that type of vibe, that type of energy. Oh, this guy's happy. He's having a good time, whatever, right? So the Joker, one of the core like philosophies or mindsets of the Joker is he's smiling and laughing at himself in the world, right? Doesn't take himself seriously. He's looking to overcome himself. Happiness is the increase in power and overcoming of resistance. So the Joker is looking to basically whatever he wants to get done, he's looking to get it done, and he doesn't care what obstacles in the way. If you watch the Batman movies, the Joker doesn't believe in like limits. He doesn't believe in obstacles. He doesn't believe in resistance. Like he just does exactly what he wants to do. Okay. And when he does exactly what he wants to do, he's happy, right? Because he's doing exactly what he wants to do. He's not like trying to beat around the bush or limiting himself or lowering his standards. No, the Joker, whatever he wants, he goes for it fully. And if you notice, the Joker is always happy, right? Because there's no limit to his self-expression. Like I believe the reason why a lot of people are unhappy is because their needs are not being met. They're not doing what they want to do. They're not living the life they want to live. They're not overcoming themselves. They're not overcoming resistance. They're not tapping into their potential or their power, and that's therefore they're unhappy. The people who are happy to me seem to be the people who are expressing themselves, who are overcoming challenges, who are, evolving, tapping into their potential. And that's what creates this happiness, this increase of power, this overcoming of resistance. So I noticed that with the Joker. So one of the things I started doing was I started going for exactly what I wanted. I stopped limiting myself. I stopped trying to fit into the box of what society tells me I need to be. I stopped fitting into the box of, oh, Trey is just the quiet guy or the shy guy or whatever boxes people were trying to place on me. Trey is a serious guy. No, I'm not. I'm whoever I want to be, right? So I started overcoming myself. I started tapping into this new version of myself, this more happier, this more jolly, this more playful, less serious, more childlike version of myself. Humorous, childlike acceptance of fate. So another thing I noticed with the Joker is he's very accepting of his fate, right? If something doesn't go his way, he doesn't all of a sudden get pissed and mad and all this stuff. He'll just start laughing, right? The Joker, when he gets in one of the Dark Knight movies, when he gets put in jail and they do the good cop, bad cop thing, and Batman goes and starts interrogating the Joker, Batman starts like beating him up. And while he's beating him up, the Joker's laughing. The Joker is just like, you have nothing against me or whatever, right? And then there's another part even where where Batman is dangling the Joker over a ledge, and the Joker is laughing while that's happening, like the Joker has no resistance to anything. He has complete acceptance, and it's a humorous, childlike acceptance. It's like literally he's laughing and smiling in the face of death. And in these situations, these situations where most people would be crying or mad or sad or whatever the case may be, the Joker looks happy, like looks excited, looks thrilled, right? Because he has full acceptance of his fate. And one of the biggest ones to me, and this is what really made me want to study and develop this archetype within myself, was the Joker. From when I study him and I look at him, he seems to not have a concept of failure. He seems to have no concept of rejection. He seems to have no concept of loss. It comes from, if you study the Joker's origin, now apparently he has different origins, but I'm going to go with the one where basically he lost his wife and his child in a fire. And then I think he got fired from his job that day as well. And not only that, that was a day when he decided to take on this like criminal job where he was going to go steal something, I believe. And he teamed up with these criminals, and then he got caught by Batman. And that was when he fell in a pool of Vatican or pool of poison, whatever it was. And then when he came out, his face was deformed, and that was a creation of the Joker. He just started laughing, and he just starts from that point on, he just saw life as a big joke. And yeah, if you watch and study the Joker, you'll see he doesn't really have a concept of fear, rejection, or loss, because like I said, whatever happens, he's completely accepting of it. So it's kind of like if you're completely accepting of anything that could happen in your life, then there is no failure. There is no reject. The only time there's failure, rejection, or loss, if we're resisting something. Like if I believe that if I don't get the girl, then I lose, then yeah, then I have a concept of failure. I have a concept of rejection. I have a concept of loss. But the Joker doesn't see it like that, right? If he doesn't get the girl, he just laughs, and he'll either persevere and make sure he gets the girl no matter what, or he'll just not give a shit and go and get another girl or whatever. Like that's how the Joker's kind of looks at things. Like if his plan A doesn't work, then he has a plan B, has a plan C, has a plan D, has a plan E. Like he's not gonna stop. Right? It's not like the Joker doesn't have any he doesn't have any idea of like I'm discouraged now because it didn't go my way. And he also doesn't have a concept of guilt or remorse, which makes him even more like the Joker is effective, right? That's why Batman has such a hard time with him, because the Joker like makes shit happen, right? And it's because he doesn't get discouraged. He has no guilt. He has no remorse. He doesn't care. Like if you tell him, oh, you just killed these people, what do you think about that? He's just going to laugh. right? You just blew up a whole building. What do you think about that? He's just gonna laugh, right? He has no guilt, no remorse. Now, I leveraged this archetype because, like I said, I was too serious. I was too rigid. I was too logical. So if you feel like you may be a little too serious, too rigid, too logical, maybe you care too much about the opinions of others, right? You're too attached to the outcome, that kind of thing. This archetype will help you, right? The Joker just doesn't give a fuck. And that is part of, to me, that is a part of the masculine expression, right? To me, a man who's really tapped into his masculinity has this sense of he's not so attached to the outcome, right? He's not resisting shit. He can accept things, right? He can handle failure. He can handle rejection. He can handle loss, right? He doesn't get discouraged when things don't go his way. That is, to me, that is part of being a man. Okay, the next archetype. So once I got the Joker archetype down, I started to go into the Beast archetype. This archetype is very similar to the Warrior archetype and the King, Warrior, Magician, Lover. Essentially, the Beast is when you awaken this aggression. The Joker was like was a necessary archetype to tap into before I could tap into the Beast, because before you can really be a beast, you have to learn how to not give a fuck. And the Joker archetype will help you get to that place where you don't give a fuck. Now the Beast can show up and just make shit happen for real. So the Beast is when you tap into this version of yourself where you're no longer trying to avoid pain. Instead, you're fully embracing and allowing it to turn you into a beast. Like, pain is what makes you a beast. Resistance is what makes you a beast. Challenges, discomfort. So you start seeking these things out instead of trying to run away from them. And this is really going to awaken your masculinity, right? Because masculinity, as we said, it's proactive, it's assertive, it's dominant, it's focused, right? Another part of the Beast archetype is massive action. So this is where you're done with reading a ton of books, you're done with watching a bunch of videos, you're going to go out and take massive action. This was when I was learning about cold approach and pickup, and I decided, okay, it's time for me to go out there and start approaching some women. This is when I was going out and approaching 30 women a day, even as much as 50 in a day, right? This is when I just started going out, taking a bunch of action, because I started to the brakes were released once I tapped into the Joker. Because what was stopping me from being a beast was I cared too much, right? I was too serious. I was too logical. Oh, what if I go out and this happens? And what if I get embarrassed? And what if once you tap into the Joker archetype, you stop caring about all that stuff. And then the Beast archetype is now where you can leverage that freedom that you have now, right? And you can use it to get results, right? So if I wanted to get some girls, I knew, okay, one way to do it is go out and approach a lot of women. If I wanted more business, I knew one way to do it was to go out and approach a lot more prospects, right? Put out more content, right? This is when I was working on my business. I was making more content. I was making these YouTube videos. I would write articles. I would reach out to clients more, right? Massive action. You just start beasting out. My workouts became more serious, right? I would beast out in my workouts, right? And just any area that needed that I felt was lacking in results or lacking in what I wanted, I started beasting out more. Not interested in hoping about shit anymore. You're done with praying about shit. You're done with overanalyzing shit, right? You just start going into action mode. Not that you shouldn't do these things. Overanalyze, I don't think you should be doing that. But hoping and praying those are not bad things. But just when I tapped into this archetype, I just stopped really doing all that. I wasn't really hoping and praying as much, right? It was more about, let me just make this shit happen. Let me become this full embodiment of being a go-getter, right? Of being in attack mode. Hard work is something to seek out, not to avoid. So in our society, like a lot of what's being pushed on this is like how to avoid hard work, how to make things easier, how to make things fast. The Beast is not thinking like that. He enjoys hard work, right? He's not afraid of hard work. He realizes that those who've been successful tend to be those who are willing to work hard, right? Not to say that the Beast won't work smart, but that's kind of like that's kind of like, yeah, of course we should work smart too. But the Beast's main focus is on massive action, hard work, getting shit done, putting in the hours, and this is masculine energy. This is definitely masculine energy. Masculine energy, another word I would use for it is penetrating energy, right? The beast penetrates shit, right? He smashes through shit. He's not trying to go around. He's not trying to jump over. He's trying to bash through, right? So this was an archetype I tapped into. You seek and embrace challenge. The beast is seeking out the challenge, right? The beast looks the girl in the eye and is like, shit, test me. I want you to shit test me. I want you to challenge me. I want you to bring out my weaknesses so I can kill my own weaknesses. The beast attacks his own weaknesses too. It's not just about going out and attacking the world. It's about destroying any weakness you find in yourself. And that's one of the things I actually appreciate about women is that female nature is designed to attack weakness. So if you go out and you're approaching women and stuff, because you're in the beast archetype, now your interactions with women are going to go a lot better, because when you're just like being a nice guy and passive and stuff like that, you're actually going to like try to hide your full expression, so the woman can't really, trigger you or like attack those weaknesses. But when you tap into the beast, this is where you open up fully, and also the Joker helps with this too. You open up fully and you express yourself fully. So now your weaknesses are on display and can be hit, and you're making yourself a lot more vulnerable. Because you're a beast, you can handle it. So that's another expression of masculinity I tapped into. I leveraged the beast. The Stoic king or emperor, right? This is another important part to becoming grounded in your masculinity, because part of being a grounded masculine man is being disciplined. And Stoicism focuses a lot on discipline, self-mastery, emotional mastery, mental mastery, physical mastery. So one of the things you want to focus on is amor fati, which means love your fate, right? Love of fate. And essentially it means you're not resisting anything that happens in your reality, right? You're not resisting what happens to you. It's like, if life gives you, what is it? If life gives you lemons, you turn it into lemonade. If life gives you shit, you turn it into sugar, right? You're not like trying to avoid shit, like, oh, why is this happening to me? Or, oh, how do I change this shit? Or it's more like, okay, this is what's happening. That's what's supposed to happen, and I love it, and let's work with it, right? That's a very powerful mindset. And this is something that helped me a lot, because life is going to throw a lot of shit at you, and the way you respond to it's going to determine how things turn out. If you're always resisting and avoiding things, you limit the possibilities of what could happen, right? But if you love your fate, now you're open to unlimited possibility, right? You're open to seeing things that somebody else wouldn't be able to see because they're closing themselves off. Discipline becomes one of your highest values. The way I see discipline, I basically see discipline as your ability to do what needs to be done, no matter how you feel, right? If I had to simplify it. So discipline means waking up at the same time every morning, right? When I was tapping into this archetype, I was getting up at 3 a.m., right? 3 a.m. every single morning. Not only that, as soon as I woke up at 3 a.m., I would work out. Not only that, after the work, I would do a cold shower. Not only that, after the cold shower, I would study, I would write my goals down, and I would do some affirmations. Then I would do some reading, right? And then I would get into my day, right? Discipline became one of my highest values. As soon as I woke up, the first value that I would demonstrate was discipline, because 3 a.m. I'm up, workout, getting done. And it was every day. I would work out every single day. It's not like I was taking days off, right? Because discipline became one of my highest values. And discipline is very important, because a grounded masculine man is a man who maintains his character and maintains his frame no matter what's happening. So you would need discipline in order to do that. If you're not disciplined, you're not going to maintain your frame. You're not going to maintain your character when you're being challenged, right? You're going to break. You're going to do what's more comfortable. See, being disciplined is doing what you need to do even when you don't feel like doing it. That means you're comfortable being uncomfortable, right? You practice doing things that you don't want to do so that you have this characteristic, right? You're not going to break. You're not going to fold when things get tough, because you literally enforce discipline, like tough situations on yourself on a daily basis, right? Kobe Bryant, the basketball player, the legendary basketball player, he used to one of the things he used to do was he used to make his practice harder than the game, right? So this is kind of what you start doing when you tap into this archetype, is like you practice discipline because you want to practice being uncomfortable and all these things. So when you go out in the world is easy because you don't put more discipline and more difficulties on yourself than the world could put on you, right? If I'm waking up at 3 a.m., if I'm working out like a very like difficult workout, strenuous workout, right at 3 a.m. as soon as I wake up, that's the last thing you want to do. And I'm doing it every morning. Then I'm getting in the cold shower. Then I'm writing my goals down, writing my affirmations, reading, right? All these things are going on before 6 a.m., 5 a.m., which is when most people wake up, or maybe not even. They probably wake up like 7 a.m., 8 a.m. Right. So now if you're doing all these things in the morning, when you go out in the world, it's like everything else is a piece of cake. Self accountability to your goals and values, right? You start to become more accountable instead of just like setting a goal and like, oh, yeah, it's a nice goal. You start holding yourself accountable. Like, okay, if my goal is to make this amount of money, what are the actions I need to take? And you start taking those actions, and you may have set up like a checklist, or for me, I would schedule, things in my day. Like if it's a certain things need to get done, I would schedule them in my day, like an appointment. Like the same way you schedule a doctor's appointment, I would schedule activity. I would schedule tasks that need to get done so that I can achieve my goals. And I would have certain ways of being that I would demonstrate throughout my day. Like if courage was one of my values, right? It's still one of my values. Courage, discipline, of course, focus, integrity, whatever it is. And I would hold myself accountable to these things, right? Sees himself as a role model for what a successful masculine man looks like. So when you tap into this Stoic King Emperor archetype, you tap into, I'm a role model, right? I'm not the guy that's like behind the scenes, or the guy that's in the shadows, or the extra. No, I'm the lead role in this movie, and I am the role model of what a successful masculine man looks like. You're no longer trying to like, you know, um, just kind of be there. It's like now you're stepping up like, yo, I'm a stoic king. I'm an emperor, right? You start to carry yourself like royalty, like disciplined royalty, right? And you're like, yo, shine the light on me, because I'll show you what a disciplined man who gets shit done looks like, right? Because you have the Joker archetype down, you have the Beast archetype down. These are archetypes you need to like really be able to get shit done. You bring the Stoic King archetype in there to like bring the balance and the sophistication and the like the calibration to it, right? Because the Joker and the Beast can be kind of like can kind of push people away. But this what the Stoic King Emperor does is like he brings a royalty to that beingness. Like, look, that's Marcus Aurelius, by the way. I should have mentioned that. That guy in the picture, that's Marcus Aurelius, who was a Roman emperor, and he wrote a book called Meditations, which became my Bible for a while because I wanted to really embody the Stoic philosophy. 100% committed to your goals, right? So you're no longer wishing and hoping for stuff. You're committed, right? So you're taking action, but you're taking disciplined action, right? So you're taking action even when you don't feel like it, because you're committed to your goal. That's what commitment looks like. It's like you do the right thing. You do the right thing no matter what, right? Sometimes maybe it feels better to eat the donut instead of eating the salad that you said you were going to do. When you're tapped into this archetype, you're going to eat the salad, right? Because you're 100% committed to your goal, not 99%, 100%. Aims to master mind and emotions through the practice of discipline. So this is a big part of this archetype, is it's basically your mastery of mind and emotion is very important to you here, right? It's not about feeling good. right? The other archetype, like for example, the joke archetype may be a little bit more about feeling good, happy, having a good time, right? The beast archetype, not so much. It's kind of like just about being a beast. But the stoic archetype, for sure, it's about discipline. Like discipline is more important than feeling good, right? And not to say that you never feel good, but it's just this archetype is more about discipline, right? A Roman emperor. Marcus Aurelius was a Roman emperor. He had a lot of responsibility. He couldn't just be, oh, it's about feeling good. And no, right? If he wants his empire to be successful, he has to master his mind. His mind can't be controlling him, his emotions. He can't be reactive. Oh, I feel this way, so I just gonna act however the emotion is telling me to act. Like, no. The spiritual bad boy. So this was the next archetype I tapped into. Okay. Now the reason I call it the spiritual bad boy, because you don't because you've worked on these other archetypes, the Joker, the Beast, and the Stoic Emperor, you're gonna have like a certain edge to your character, like because you just put in that work and cultivated these archetypes. So this could just be spiritual being, right? It didn't have to be bad boy, but the reason I put bad boy is because you don't want to like turn into like this soft, like super woo woo, like just like everything is okay. Nah, that's because that's not what I mean here. So let me get into it, right? Spirituality becomes very important when you tap into the spiritual bad boy. Like that's what happens here. Like maybe when you were the Joker, what was important to you? Carefreeness, not giving a fuck, right? Being free, outcome independent, right? All these things, right? Nice. The Beast was about beasting out, massive action, right? Um, Smashing through obstacles, seeking out challenge, right? Becoming falling in love with pain, right? The uh the stoic um the stoic emperor, right? Discipline, right? Focus, right? Not letting your mind and your emotions take over, that kind of thing. The spiritual bad boy is about balancing your emotions, understanding the laws of the universe, and understanding, energy and how we have the power to manifest, right? So there are certain laws of the universe that when I tapped into this archetype, I started like looking into more. Like you have the law of cause and effect, right? You start to believe that everything happens for a reason, right? You have the law of action, right? You know that if you want to manifest something, you have to take action. You have um the law of vibration. The law of vibration says that everything vibrates, right? The law of divine oneness means we're all connected. Everything is connected, right? Everything you say, do, and think is connected to the universe. It all comes together in its own interesting way, right? There's these different laws. I started to study these laws and started to live by these laws, right? And I started to tap into a lot of meditation started happening in this at this point, right? Sitting down, right? Because you want to balance your emotions, right? You also want to balance your thoughts, the way you're thinking. You want to become more conscious, more mindful, right? You want to be more aware of what's going on in your subconscious mind. You want to be more aware of what's going on in your world, right? You don't want to be a victim to your environment. You kind of want to be greater than your environments, right? You want to be greater than your mind. You want to be greater than your body, right? Like you want to be conscious. And when you tap into the spiritual bad boy, you start flowing and surrendering instead of forcing, right? So you're always going to have these archetypes. You can tap into them whenever you want, but you're not so much into like the beast archetype, for example, when you're the spiritual bad boy. Spiritual bad boy is kind of like, okay, yeah, I can be a beast, but right now we're flowing and we're surrendering, right? And it's like a peaceful flow and surrender. Like the Joker kind of flows and surrenders, but it's kind of like a chaotic, wild kind of thing. Like, what do I want to do? Da, da, da. Whereas the spiritual bad boy doesn't really need to do anything. He just kind of surrenders and he's just He's just peaceful with it. But there's still that bad boy because the beast is there, like ready to come out when necessary, right? The Joker can come out when necessary. The story, creator of your emotional state instead of effective external environment. So when you tap into the spiritual bad boy, you're really your emotional state becomes very important to you because you understand that your emotions is sending out a signal into the universe of what experiences you want to attract, right? The spiritual bad boy starts to really work with the spiritual laws, right? What you think is an electrical charge, a signal out into the universe of what you want. How you feel is what's drawing certain experiences to you that match that feeling, right? So the spiritual bad boy understands, okay, like for example, if I want a beautiful woman in my life that compliments me and is supportive and that kind of thing, I need to start thinking about that and I need to start getting in the feeling of it, right? So it's not so much about let me go out there and approach 1,000 women. It's more so let me put out the right energy so I can draw that woman to me, right? It's a different mindset. Or same thing with whatever it is, if it's a woman or it's a certain type of money, if it's a certain type of experience, you're more focused on doing it in a spiritual manner versus just like taking a bunch of action, like how a regular person would just like take a lot of action, right, like that's how we're supposed to do it. Yeah, the spiritual bad boy is like, okay, yeah, I could do it that way, but let me do it this way. Let me tap into these manifestation um laws. um your inner world becomes greater than your outer world. So what that means is you start to see that you are the creator of your universe. You're the creator of your reality, right? It's not like, okay, there's this reality and I'm just in it. No, it's kind of like I'm in this reality, but I'm creating it, right? And so your inner world becomes greater than your outer world because you realize your outer world is a reflection of your inner world, right? And so you become more tapped into okay, what am I creating? Right? If I'm in an interaction with a woman, it's like, what am I creating? Like, what type of interaction am I having here? What do I want to happen here? It's not so much about let me just like let me just laugh and play or let me just be a beast. It's like, no, what am I creating here? Realize you don't need anything because you're already perfect. This is another thing the spiritual bad boy realizes. I'm already perfect, right? Perfection is not later, right? Perfection is not something outside of me. I'm already perfect, right? Everything I need is already within. Because the spiritual bad boy understands that everything we do is for an emotional payoff. So if everything we do is for emotional payoff, why not give myself that emotion right now and allow that experience to come to me because I'm already a vibrational match of that experience. You see, it's like there's a certain spiritual wisdom that the spiritual bad boy has. But he's still a bad boy because he can still be a beast. He can you know what I mean? That's what keeps it powerful because and people can sense that edge. People can sense that edge. Like this is not a this is not like just like a guy that's just like spiritual, but like you could like pick on him or you know what I mean, or take advantage of him. It's like, no, this guy, if necessary, he can, go into beast mode, right? He can turn into the Joker, right? That's a spiritual bad boy. So once you have all these archetypes, then um you can integrate and shapeshift. Okay. Um you basically, when you get to this point, you realize that you have everything you need within to create your desired reality. Right? You get to this point, like these. Once I tapped into all these archetypes, I realized, oh, okay, I'm a grounded masculine man now. I have all these different archetypes that I can tap into, and I can utilize these archetypes depending on the situation. Like some situations, I need to be more of the Joker. Some situations, I need to be more the Stoic emperor. Some situation I need to be more the beast. Some situation I need to be more the spiritual bad boy. Sometimes I need to be the spiritual beast. Sometimes I need to be the joking emperor, right? You know, like you mix and match them. And not only that, like when you combine all these archetypes together, you start to like feel godlike, right? That's why I got Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades right here, because you can tap into like these godlike versions of yourself. Like you can show up as a Zeus. You know, to me, like if you have all these archetypes, but you lean, maybe you'll lean more on the Stoic king, but you combine all the archetypes, but you're leaning more on the Stoic king, you may start showing up in your life as Zeus, the king of the gods. Or you may start showing, you know, maybe you tap into the Joker and the Beast a little bit more than the others, and now you show up kind of like a Hades. You got to embrace your dark side too, you know. So sometimes you need to be a little dark depending on the situation. Like for example, when I go in the club, you know, sometimes I might show up in the club with a dark energy, you know, not like a evil energy. It's just like a dark energy, like yo, like the bad boy for real just showed up, the bad boy that's gonna come and like dominate the club type shit, you know. Sometimes I may tap into that vibe depending on the situation, right? Like you need to be able to shape shift. All there's not one archetype that's better than the other. They're all necessary. They're all needed depending on the situation. And you combine and mix and match them the right way to get what you want. You realize that you are dynamic as a man. You're not static. You're not one thing, right? That's what people try to put you in a box. I remember people one point, some girls trying to say, "Oh, Trey, you're shy, or you're quiet. You're the quiet guy. You're nice." No, I'm not one thing. That's a lie that we've been given. We're not one thing. We're whatever we want to be. If I want to be nice, I could be nice. If I want to be shy, I could be shy. If I want to be quiet, I could be quiet. But I also can be loud. Also can be mean. I can be aggressive. I can be funny. I can be chill. Right? Anything. So you become dynamic, not static. Life becomes your playground when you integrate all these archetypes and you learn how to shape shift. Now life becomes really fun because you are equipped for anything, right? Like you're no longer in situations like, oh, what do I do or whatever. You can tap into the archetype you need to tap into to handle the situation. Certain situations, if you, let's say you're giving too much fucks, you may say, okay, I need to lean on this Joker archetype right now. I care too much right now. Or let's say you're being a little too timid, you may say, "Oh, I need to lean on the beast and the stoic emperor right now." Or let's say you're like getting too caught up in like these in this three-dimensional limiting beliefs kind of reality thing. You may say, "Yo, I need to tap into the spiritual bad boy a little bit more. I'm a little too limited and constricted in my beliefs and my views right now. I need to open up to possibilities." So now you tap into spiritual bad boy a little bit more, right? So now you can just have fun, man, right? The world becomes your playground. All right. What to do next? So start developing these masculine archetypes. Pretty much look at your situation and see which archetype which archetype do I need right now. Do I need, like, what's kind of missing that's keeping me from being like a grounded masculine man? What's kind of missing from my expression of masculinity, right? The reason I went with the Joker first is because that was the one that was missing the most. Like I really was just too serious. I was too rigid. I was too constricted. I was cared too much about shit, right? So you look at the archetypes you need and you start developing them, and you may need to focus on one archetype at a time. I don't think it's the way how I did it was I would go into each archetype. There would be like a season where I just fully be focused on the archetype. So when it was Joker season, it was Joker season. When it was the Beast season, it was the Beast season, right? When it was the Stoic Emperor season, it was a Stoic Emperor season. You know what I mean? Like these archetypes had their seasons, and I just tapped in fully. All right. So yeah, you can kind of work on these archetypes on your own. If you'd like my support, here's what I can do for you. I can help you break down these concepts in more detail, break down these archetypes in more detail, help you apply it to yourself so you can become grounded in your masculinity. I can help you develop a daily routine for developing your masculinity. I can show you how to use your masculine energy to create your desired effects in your reality. And I can show you how to leverage your grounded masculinity to create high levels of attraction with women and much more. All right. So if that's something you're interested in, I want to give you this opportunity for us to work together. All right. In my masculine throne initiation program, which is basically one-on-one coaching, and I will help you become grounded in your masculinity, tap into these archetypes, right? So these are one-on-one sessions. The first session is a joker. I'll go into more detail. I actually have a lot more notes and deeper understanding of these archetypes. We kind of just summarized them on this presentation, but they go a lot deeper, right? And I would give you the specific things I was doing to tap into these archetypes, right? So the Joker, there was specific actions I was taking. I wasn't just studying him, certain actions. So I show you what those are on a one-on-one session. Same thing with the Beast. How do you tap into the Beast? What is the Beast really all about? You know, how do you apply that in your own life? What do you need to do on a daily basis to tap into the Beast archetype? The Stoic Emperor, same thing. How did I get into Stoicism? How did I apply it? How did I really um, develop that way of thinking and that philosophy? And then what was the actions I was taking to develop that archetype? The spiritual bad boy. How did I get into spirituality? What meditations uh, am I doing? What what is my way of viewing the world? What are these laws, these spiritual laws that I'm leveraging as well? And then integration and shape shifting. So these are two separate sessions. Integration is basically how do you integrate these masculine archetypes and leverage them throughout your day to get your desired effects. And how do you shape shift? How do you shift in and out of these archetypes in different situations? And I'll give you examples and how I do it. Right. As a bonus, you get my ebooks, the Dream Girl Guide, the King Game, Bad Boy ebooks. I actually got a couple more ebooks. All these ebooks are basically mostly about attraction and getting women, but it also talks about, you know, character development. How do you become a strong masculine man, right? I have one that's called Grounded Masculinity, another ebook I wrote recently, right? So you're going to get access to a bunch of my ebooks, not just these three I mentioned here. Get access to my 10K Blueprint online workshop. If you're interested in making money on the internet, I kind of show you how to make your first 10K online. Sexy Beast Body online workshop, how to create a sexy beast body through calisthenics. 2 times one-on-one coaching sessions. So you get 2 extra one-on-one coaching sessions with me. So let's say you're applying the masculine archetypes and you may run into specific situations that you need help with. Like, okay, I'm having a hard time tapping into this archetype, or maybe there's other archetypes you want to leverage and you want help with incorporating those or developing those archetypes. I can help you with that. Tray in your pocket, you get my phone number. So if you ever have questions or whatever, I'll answer them for you. Get access to my Godlike Confidence program, which is about how to tap into godlike levels of confidence and apply that to your interactions with women and apply that to your life in general. You get spiritual bad boy game sessions. So there's a new style of game that I'm putting together, like a science, where it's like you're running game with women, but you're adding spirituality to it, right? And so it becomes very interesting because most women are not used to like a spiritual bad boy, right? Like they're used to a spiritual guy, they're used to a bad boy, but a spiritual bad boy, they're not typically not used to that. So it's a new style of game that I'm leveraging and that I'm breaking down into a science, and I'll actually show you how it works. And mental and emotional mastery sessions. So mental and emotional mastery has become a big part of my life, and a lot of it is through certain practices that I'm applying on a daily basis. A lot of it is meditation, but it's also like daily rituals that I do. There's things I'm doing on a consistent basis that allows me to have a high level of mastery over my mind and my emotions. And so I share that with you in a one-on-one session, right? So I valued everything up. It comes up to a total value of $12,050, $12,050, $12,050. But the investment for today would be 2,500, right? So if you're interested in becoming grounded in your masculinity, you want to join the Masculine Throne Initiation, the investment is 2,500. All right, I want to thank you for watching this presentation, and I'll see you in the next ones. Peace.